Hey guys, so tonight I'm doing the eyeshadow palette tag, and I was watching Allie Glines video. She collabed with Samantha March, who just did a collab with Ofra not long ago and came out with a beautiful highlighter and bronzer. Well, I'm sure the whole collection was beautiful, but I got the highlighter and the bronzer and I loved it. And I've been watching her since then, so seeing them do this like collab was really cool. And I thought it was super neat and just a neat idea, so I wanted to do it as well. So for the first palette, I believe there are 13. For the first one, it is Show Your Newest palette. And the palette that I got most recently is this Violet Voss Best Life 2 palette. I still honestly have not really had a chance to play with it, but it looks so pretty, and I cannot wait to like dig in and make just a really fun look with this. So I think this will be in a video coming up very soon, but I'm really excited about it and I'm really glad that I got it. I grabbed it on sale at Sephora during the VIB sale, so I got a really good deal on it, and yeah, I'm excited to play around with it. So the second palette that you show is your oldest palette, and the oldest palette that I still have with me is the Naked Smokey. This palette was loved. Do you see the dents there? It was loved and loved and loved until it should not be loved anymore. I don't wear it anymore, but it's fun to keep around. I think my mom actually got me this, and I played around with this forever. This might be why I hate cool tones so much, because I literally played with cool tones for so many years, but I have really good memories with this, which is another question, and I almost wanted to do this palette for that, but I didn't want to use one palette twice. So for the third palette that you show, it is your most expensive palette. Now, I couldn't decide between these two. This is the Natasha Denona Biba palette, which I recently got, and this is the Pat McGrath, one of her Mothership palettes. All of these are 129. No, I'm sorry. All of these are 125. All of these are 129. But when you open them up and look, this one has a lot more shades than the Pat McGrath. So you're getting, these shadows are more expensive individually if you want to look at it like that. So these are by far my two most expensive palettes. I don't think anything else even comes close to being anywhere near as expensive as either one of these. Both of them are two of my like favorite formulas. They're very luxurious feeling. They definitely, I think they are worth it if you are very into makeup and you want like an investment piece that you will be able to use for a long time. Like with this Biba palette, if I get married within the next 5 years, I will probably use this for like my wedding makeup. So like, I know, just like with stuff like that, I don't know, it's ridiculous that it costs as much as it does, but it's nice to know that, you know, this is something I can literally put on my eyes every single day. So they're very expensive, but to me, I do think they are worth it to have in my collection. And the next one is the most affordable palette that I have, and I saw both Samantha March and Allie Glines put the e.l.f. bite-size palettes in, which I have those, but I also have this little Ulta palette that I got in like, it was the 25 thing, all things pretty, some Ulta kit. I can link that video up there, but this is by far the cheapest palette I own, the cheapest packaging, cheapest formula, just like all around cheapest, and this is not worth the $3 that the e.l.f. bite-size palettes are, and those palettes are amazing, so this is definitely the cheapest. So the next palette is your everyday palette, and I had to choose the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette. I have all of mine in this Z palette from Makeup Geek, but I love these shadows so much. This is something I would take traveling anywhere with me. I would definitely not leave without this. I think you can do so many cool different looks, so many cool things with the glitter, so many nice tones and shades, and I will always love this palette. I think the formula is amazing, the mattes are amazing, glitters, either, what are they called? The satin finishes, so stunning, and just like, definitely one of my, how do I say that? One of the palettes I have that I am the most glad to own, if that makes any sense. Next up, we have the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette coming in at my most colorful palette. And y'all know I don't really mess around with color much, so I'm not sure what exactly I was thinking when I got this, but looking at this just like inspires me to do some cool ass looks. Like, these colors are just amazing, and I really need to play with this more. I have not played with it like I should, and these colors just Oh, they look so stunning. Like, all of these are just so pretty. Definitely let me know if y'all would like to see a look with this. I know that it's not like new or anything anymore, but I have not played around with it much, and just like getting it out for this video, I want to come up with something with it. So let me know if y'all would like to see it. And now we get to the smallest palette, and I had a couple like little teeny palettes that I couldn't decide between, and then I thought about this little baby. This is the Victoria Beckham Smokey Eye Bricks, and this is literally the size of a business card. Like, so I have the little Fenty Snap Shadow. It's even smaller than that, like by a pretty good amount. It's definitely smaller, you know, both ways. It's just a teeny tiny palette, and the formula in these are, the formula that is in these is amazing. I love all of the matte ones. I love the shimmer one too. I don't seem to reach for it as much. I think when I'm going for those kind of palettes, I just want like a super quick kind of easy deal, but it's really nice to have this just to kind of like top that off and do a pretty shimmer to go with one of those. And literally if you bring two of them along with you, it's taking up like no space whatsoever. So definitely super good for travel, and just like such nice sturdy packaging. And I mean, it's gorgeous. It's that like tortoise shell. It's everything about her brand is just so luxurious to me. And then I think this was a lot of people's biggest palette because it is a big one. This is the Jaclyn Hill. I have the volume 2 here. The volume 1 is the same size, so that would also be one of my biggest. I think a lot of Morphe palettes are around this size, so you know, any of those would basically be the same thing. But I really love this palette. I think, you know, it was formulated really nice, and I know there's been a lot of controversy with her with this palette, some with Morphe, just all around, but I do think the pigmentation and, you know, everything about these shades, they've always worked out for me. I know some people do not agree, and that is totally fine, but I have really enjoyed every look that I've done with this palette, and I love how versatile it is. So that is the biggest palette, and I mean, this is like almost comical. Like, look at the size difference there. So the palette that I have next is one that you have a good or the best memory with, and like I said, I have a bunch of good memories with that Naked Smokey palette. This Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette remastered is another palette I have some, oh my goodness, one of my shades literally just fell out. That like fell onto the floor. Okay, so that was really fun. As soon as I opened this entire shade fell out, like not in its pan, just the whole shade. So I tried to smush that back in here, and this would be the palette I have like the best memory with, right? Now I have a kind of crappy memory to go along with it, but my mom had a holiday party at her company last year, and she asked me to do her makeup for it, which was really, really sweet of her because, you know, she knew I was trying to get into it, and I did her makeup with this. It was such a pretty look, and she really does not wear like warm eyeshadows at all, so it was really fun to play around with this on her, and it's just fun to play around with anything on her. I love like using her as my little test dummy, so she's gotten lots of really, really awful eyeshadow looks, but she's also gotten a few decent ones. But I think my favorite look I've ever done on her was with this palette for her Christmas party, and it was just really fun to get to go over there and hang out while she was getting ready, and Parker's other grandma had him, so we just kind of like hung out, and I did her makeup and got ready, and it was fun. My mom has been my best friend since I was born, so it's always fun to just get to hang out with her. Okay, so next up we have a palette that was worth the hype for you, and I'm really kicking myself for depanning or depotting all of these right now, but these are the Vizier to Edit shadows, some from the Rose Edit and some from the Warm Edit. I originally did not see the big deal about Vizier. I hear most makeup artists calling it Vizier, so that's how I'm going to say it. But I had gotten one of their tiny, tiny little palettes. It was a cool tone palette. I did not know then that I was not a huge fan of cool tones. I didn't love it. So I'm really glad that people did hype these up, and I did give them another chance. I think they are really pretty, really blendable, very like consistent, easy to work with shadows, which I appreciate a lot. So this I do think is worth the hype, and I love that they're coming out with palettes that aren't just for makeup artists, that are just matte or just shimmers or whatever. So I like where they are going. And then a palette that was not worth the hype to me were these little Fenty Snap Shadows. I have 3 or 4 of them. This is number 7. This is just the first one that I grabbed. They're like fine, but they're really nothing special. I don't know. I was just hoping it would be, with Fenty, I always expect like just bomb ass stuff. You know, like, it's Fenty. They have great products. They just really come out with stunning products every time, it seems. So with this, they weren't bad. I just don't feel like they were worth the hype. And I feel like I was so excited about them coming out, just like I was like with their cream bronzers and everything else. And then it was just kind of like, meh. So that was just my feeling with that. And then, don't get me wrong, I like this palette. This is the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes palette. I like it. I was kind of expecting more from this too, though, I think. I don't know, something about it just doesn't quite like get me excited. I was really excited about this like green shimmer color, and it just, on me, it doesn't come off very green in person. Like on camera now I look crazy because it looks pretty green, but it doesn't come across that green on my eyes in person. And that was like the one shadow that really like drew me to it. It was kind of like, you know, when one natural palette has a blue shade popped in, people are like, oh, that's what draws you in because you have every other shade in that palette, but you don't have that one blue or whatever it is. That's kind of what got me with this. And I don't know, I'm not as like, oh, I love this so much, I'm taking it everywhere with me as I wanted to be about it. Okay, so the next two questions are going to be answered with one palette for me, and the questions are your favorite palette from your favorite brand and your most worn palette. Right now, that would be the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Eye Palette in Pillow Talk. I know I keep going on about this palette, but I love it so much. There's so many things you can do. There's so many gorgeous looks. Everything I've done with this, I've been really happy with. The pigmentation, the blending, everything about it. I love how it's set up. I love that you have like these 4 like looks that you can put together and not think about it all. I don't really use it like that. I just kind of like jump around between colors. But I think that it's, you know, just an easy, very efficient and worth it palette. Like I have one of her eye quads, and that's another one that I would have put in the like not worth it, not worth the hype category. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't like speak to me like I want it to. The eye topper in it just kind of feels like hard pan to me. The matte was okay, and then it was just kind of like, I don't feel like I can really create like a full look with this 4-pan palette, which sometimes that's the case, but a lot of the times, if you have 4 good solid shades, you can create a few really gorgeous eye looks. So in my opinion, I would go for this palette over one of her quads. It's not that much more expensive, to be honest, and it is better quality in my opinion, and just easier to use, and you can get so many looks out of it. So I think that is everything. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope y'all are having a great day, night, evening, weekend, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.